The Last of Us Part 2 was our game of the year in 2020. A stunning blend of technology and storytelling, it earned its place, and it still stands as one of the best games of the PS4 era. Well, now it's hitting the PS5 natively. With a strong baseline to start with, how does the now common remaster stack up? More to the point, is it worth that £10 upgrade fee for those who already have the PS4 version installed? Well, I'm going to start by talking about people that haven't got the game at all so far. This is without a doubt the definitive version of The Last of Us Part 2, and it's a game that you should absolutely have in your PS5 collection, and this is the best way to play it. You can check out our original review up in a card, which we stand by 100%. It's still a 10 out of 10 game, with a heart-wrenching story, staggering technical work, and a continuation of Ellie's journey that still holds up to this day. But we're not here to re-review the game. Let's look at some of the new stuff that's been included with this remaster. First of all, there's a resolution bump, allowing you to play at a native 4K 30 frames a second, or at a higher resolution in 60 frames a second, which I'm led to believe is 1440p. For those new to us as a channel, I'm someone who pretty much swears by performance modes in games. Give me a smoother frame rate over more pixels any day, and having played the original release in 30 frames a second, the change was a breath of fresh air. Now, some may point to the fact that the game had a patch a while ago which let you play the original release on PS5 with a 60 frames a second cap, but if I'm honest, I didn't go back to it in earnest once the PS5 released. I sunk upwards of 60 hours into the game during my initial review period, so checked out the patch briefly and not much else. However, with the option to play through the full game at 60 frames a second, it's a genuine game changer, and it makes things feel much more responsive and fluid. As I say, I'm a performance mode guy. As you'd expect, it's flawless, with no dips in frame rate throughout the game to speak of. I'll be brutally honest, I couldn't tell much of a difference between the detail in quality and performance modes, but it's obviously going to come down to personal preference here. Having said that though, the leap between the PS4 version and the PS5 version is pretty staggering, especially if playing at 30 frames a second. If you didn't own a PS4 Pro, the original game was in 1080p 30. The jump from that to 4K is pretty startling at first, and as with a ton of Sony's first-party titles, if you have a compatible display with HDMI 2.1, you can run the game at 120 frames a second in a lower resolution, or you can run the game at 4K 40 frames a second, which is continually proving to be a perfect middle ground between performance and quality modes. As per previous titles, we don't have the ability to capture this natively, but from our testing, if you want a higher level of performance with a native 4K resolution, then yeah, go for it. This is the mode of choice. Naturally, if you have a PS4 save, you can import it into the game and have your trophies pop. Somewhat bizarrely, despite having the Platinum, my collectibles didn't show up, so I fired up the PS4 version, and they weren't available there either, so I suspect that there's been some sort of bug that's been introduced, but in the meantime, why not check out our collectibles guide to get all those cards that you're missing. There you go, subtle plug there for you. But enough about the improvements in the base game. What's actually new here? What does that upgrade fee get you in addition to the technical bumps that we've come to expect? Well, the two big features here are the no return mode and the lost levels and making of sections. Let's start with the shorter one. The lost levels consists of 3 cut sections from the game with introductions from Neil Druckmann. There are great lengths taken to explain that these are early interpretations of the levels with reasoning given for their exclusion, and they've got commentary from the devs as you make your way through them. They're 3 pretty short sections in all honesty, but they do give an insight into just how much attention is paid to the pacing of the game. They've been completed to the point where they're now playable, but at the end of them you can quite easily see why they were cut from the final release. The scene in Jackson's quite nice, giving a little more of a glimpse into the sense of community that the survivors have crafted, while the sewers extends on the scene after Ellie falls into the river with a clicker, and the hunt elaborates on something that appears in Ellie's notebook, which gives you another peek into her psyche. There's also a guitar free play mode for those who have creative visions for the characters themselves, allowing you to switch up between different types of guitar, add effects, or just noodle away for a bit of fun. Oh, and they kept this one quiet, but Naughty Dog have released Grounded 2, the making of The Last of Us Part 2, which is a fantastic surprise. At the time of writing, it hasn't been patched into the game, but on release it will be available to watch from the extras menu. And I'm really looking forward to this, as the original Grounded was an excellent documentary that's well worth watching. And this one covers the COVID outbreak and its impact on the process. But of course, the jewel in the crown for the remaster is the no return mode. This is a roguelike mode which pits you against a series of missions. So in the missions there are either waves of enemies, or that you're being hunted and you have to survive, or that there are people attacking your teammate. There's loads of different options in here, but it basically puts you on the path to a final boss. There's an absolute ton of characters, modes and weapons to unlock here, with challenges and other goodies to keep you hooked. If you're a fan of the game's combat, this will have its hooks, or cordyceps-like fungus, working their way through your system until you can finally get to that last stage and complete it. There's a continual drip feed of upgrades, tokens and new stuff, whether it's characters or locations or mission types, and it's really well done here. Once you get used to the different mission types, you can effectively plan your way through the missions. Sometimes partners will join you to assist, sometimes modifiers will be put into play, forcing you to change your playstyle up. For example, what would happen if melee hits set enemies on fire, for example, or what about if enemies dropped explosives upon death? There's plenty of things here to keep it fresh, and this mode alone extends the playtime of the game well beyond its 20-hour single-player story. It does hit me with a pang of sadness that we'll never see the recently canned Factions multiplayer in the light of day, but this is a welcome replacement. This could have easily been a £15 piece of DLC in some places, so to have it included in the PS5 release of the game, or in that £10 upgrade, makes it a worthy purchase in my opinion. I'll be honest, I've yet to reach the end of the mode as I keep getting killed, but the continual drip of new toys to play with makes me determined to do so, and then do it all over again with the other characters. Overall, if you don't own The Last of Us Part 2 and you've played Part 1, or you've seen the TV series, or you're just interested in the game, go back and watch our original review. The story hasn't changed, nothing of our opinion has changed on the game from that perspective, but this is the best way to play it. If you have a PS5 and you want to play The Last of Us Part 2, this is the way to do it. I mean, yes, the original game now has that 60 frames a second patch, but if you're not interested in the no return mode, then fair enough, that may be the option for you. But if you own a PS5 and you want to play this game, then this is absolutely the best way to do so. Thank you for joining us, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop us a like, leave us a comment down below, get yourself subscribed to the channel, and we will see you next time for some more content. Take care. Bye-bye.